Before I begin, I know Pokemon fans can get very angry and opinionated when they hear something they don't like, so I'm going to say this right off the bat. This video is based on my opinions. This is me expressing what I think. This is not me telling you what you should think. If you disagree with what I have to say, or have anything to add, I encourage you to let me know what you think in the comments. Now, with that out of the way, let's get started. It's no secret that Pokémon is one of the most successful franchises of all time. In fact, as of right now, Pokémon is the highest grossing media franchise ever. So regardless of where you stand on the Pokémon series, whether you love it or hate it, you've got to admit that it's done extremely well. But that's not what this video is about. This video is going to focus on the main series of Pokémon games, and as the title of the video suggests, I'm going to be talking about why these games aren't as good today as they were back in their prime. Before we go any further, I should probably mention that I have played each of the main games at least once, so while I don't exactly know each game like the back of my hand, I feel experienced enough to talk about this. With that being said, let's get into it. As we're all aware, the main appeal of Pokémon is the concept of being able to explore a region, catch Pokémon and battle with them. That's been the foundation of the series from the very beginning, and over time the mechanics of catching and battling Pokémon have been tweaked and refined to the point where they've essentially mastered it. Being the very first set of games in the series, Generation 1 laid the foundations of the mechanics of Pokémon that we're all familiar with. Each Pokémon has its own type, stats and set of moves to battle with. Looking back, the mechanics of Generation 1 are fairly primitive, but it's the first set of games restricted by the limitations of the Game Boy, so that can be forgiven. Generation 2 expanded upon the mechanics of Generation 1 by introducing the Dark and Steel types for better type balance, as well as splitting the Special stat into Special Attack and Special Defense. Generation 3 expanded the system further by introducing abilities to give each Pokémon unique traits, as well as double battles to spice up the gameplay. Generation 4 introduced the Physical Special split. Prior to Generation 4, each type was designated as a physical type or a special type, so certain types would only have physical attacks and other types would only have special attacks. By Generation 4, Game Freak realized that was fucking stupid, so they refined the physical and special system by designating each individual attack as a physical attack or a special attack. By Generation 5, the battle system was mostly nailed. The only major introductions were those of triple battles and rotation battles. With the main battle mechanics basically perfected, Generations 6, 7 and 8 attempted to add even grander mechanics, introducing Mega Evolution, Z-moves and Dynamaxing respectively. I personally think that Mega Evolution was the best of these introductions, but even though I'm not as big of a fan of Z-moves and Dynamaxing, I have to admit that they definitely helped to give their respective generations a unique identity and add a fresh twist to the gameplay. So you might be wondering, how can you say that Pokémon games aren't as good as they used to be when the mechanics of battle basically got better and better as the generations went along? Well, that's the thing. The catching and battling system is not the problem with modern Pokémon games. The problem is the actual objective of the game. Let me explain what I mean. In Generation 1, the main goal is to defeat the 8 gym leaders, take on the Pokémon League and become the champion. Fairly simple, but it works for the first game in the series. In Generation 2, the main goal is to defeat the 8 gym leaders, take on the Pokémon League and become the champion. So exactly the same in Generation 1, just in a different region. At least in Generation 2, they let you go to Kanto to defeat the 8 gym leaders, take on the Pokémon League and become the champion again. Not a huge step up from Generation 1, but it's still in the early days of the series, so I can let that slide. Generation 3 takes the Pokémon experience from the Game Boy to the Game Boy Advance. With upgraded visuals and music, Generation 3 takes you on a journey in which you defeat the 8 gym leaders, take on the Pokémon League and become the champion. It might have been a step up in hardware, but the aim of the game has remained very much the same. Generation 4, which gave us our first Pokémon adventures on the DS, sees us attempt to defeat the 8 gym leaders, take on the Pokémon League and become the champion. Generation 5 took the capabilities of the DS even further, with improved sprites and animation, visuals and sound, which we experienced on our adventure to defeat the 8 gym leaders, take on the Pokémon League and become the champion. Twice, because we do it once in black and white, and again in black 2 and white 2. Generation 6 saw the Pokémon series move on to the 3DS. It provided the opportunity to defeat the 8 gym leaders, take on the Pokémon League and become the champion, but in 3D this time. Generation 7 actually tried to spice things up a bit. Instead of defeating the 8 gym leaders, taking on the Pokémon League and becoming the champion, we take part in the Island Challenge, take on the Pokémon League and become the champion. Well, I suppose some credit is due, at least it tried to do something different. Finally, Generation 8 saw the series move on to the Switch, a fresh opportunity to revolutionize the Pokémon formula. And what did we do? Well, we went to defeat the 8 gym leaders, take on the Pokémon League and become the champion. I think you get what I'm trying to say here. The problem I have with modern Pokémon games is that they just recycle the same concept over and over again. You could make the argument that the main objective of each game has to do with beating the evil team and catching the legendary Pokémon, but even then the problem is still the same. From Generation 3 onwards, there is an evil team which tries to use the legendary Pokémon of the respective game to achieve their goals, and the player stops them by catching said legendary Pokémon and defeating the evil team's boss in battle. The formula doesn't change. The main objective of the game has been the same every single time, just with a different coat of paint. Sure, the idea of travelling around a region, collecting gym badges, fighting the evil team and becoming the champion is fun the first few times, but the novelty wears off eventually. It loses its charm and the concept becomes stale. In all honesty, the main reason I bought Sword and Shield was to see the wild area, which I think is an amazing concept that should be carried on into future installments, as well as the new Pokémon abilities and moves that Generation 8 introduced. I didn't buy it because I wanted to fight gym leaders, and to be clear, I'm perfectly happy with seeing new Pokémon introduced. What I'm not happy with is taking on the same gym challenge time and time again. And to make things worse, the main series of Pokémon games have actually introduced things that would make the whole experience much more enjoyable and fresh had they been more prominent. The biggest example of this are Pokémon contests, which are present in Generations 3 and 4. Contests put an interesting twist on how you use moves in order to win and out-glamour the other trainers taking part. Had they put more time and effort into it, contests could have been a fun and fresh focus for a main series game. In fact, in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, I had more fun taking part in contests than anything else in the game. Even things like PokéStar Studios in Black 2 and White 2 actually show off how the Pokémon battle format can be adapted and changed to make the Pokémon experience more unique in each game. In PokéStar Studios, you undertake battles with rental Pokémon, but instead of trying to beat the opponent, you actually need to follow a script and use certain moves at certain times in order to produce a movie. The better you stick to the script, the better quality the movie you produce will be. Pokémon contests and PokéStar Studios are perfect examples that demonstrate that the games can successfully branch away from the standard battle format and still be enjoyable. So what would they do instead of a gym challenge, I hear you ask? Well, I have a few ideas. As I already mentioned, I have a lot of fun with Pokémon contests, so I think instead of just another gym challenge, we could have a game where the main focus is a contest challenge. In the contest challenge, you would need to win a contest in each city to earn enough prizes to enter a national contest of sorts. They could even adapt the battle format to have contest battles, where the aim is not only just to win the battle, but also use certain combinations of moves to earn more points from the judges than the opponent. In that way, you could also have contest participants who act in the same manner as gym leaders, which would keep the structured progression system of the gym challenge, but making it more interesting than standard battles. This doesn't mean they would exclusively be contest battles though. The game can still keep the catching wild Pokemon and standard battle formula outside of contests. The contest challenge is just a way to make the journey around the region a bit more interesting than defeat gym leader 8 times. There are still many other ideas though. We could have a game where we play as a researcher or a direct assistant to the region's professor, where the aim isn't to become the champion, but to figure out and solve the mysteries of rare and legendary Pokemon. Instead of taking on gym leaders, you would travel to different parts of the region, catching legendary Pokemon along the way instead of earning gym badges. Legend hunting is always a major part of the post-game content in Pokemon, so I don't see why they can't implement that into the main game. Another possibility is to work as an assistant to Looker, playing as a detective who is tracking down Pokemon thieves or criminals, which turns out to be some mass organization akin to an evil team, and it's the player's goal to take them down. Maybe we could have a game where we play as a member of the evil team, or a game where we play as a trainer who is in training to become a gym leader. There are just so many possibilities to innovate and be original with the Pokémon gameplay, so it baffles me that the main series of Pokémon games have avoided those opportunities for so long. And the thing is, these other ideas don't need to replace the Gym Challenge altogether. Even though these other ideas would be the main focus, the Gym Challenge can still exist, but take a back seat and be something available to the player on the side. Similar to how Generation 3 treated contests. Doing this would actually let something new and original take the lead. Maybe, if Game Freak can be bothered, at the beginning of a main series game you get to choose an aspiration, so you can choose what you want to focus on, whether that be the Gym Challenge, a contest challenge, researching Pokemon, or whatever other options are available. That way, the experience can actually be more personal and customizable, as opposed to the restricted linear structure of do a lap of the region fighting gym leaders that Pokemon games normally have. I also think having multiple save files per game is something that is long overdue in Pokemon, by the way. Now, don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean that I hate the idea of the Gym Challenge and the core formula of Pokemon. I think it's a great idea conceptually, and was a lot of fun back when the concept was fresh. But doing the same thing with every new game gets boring, and after almost 25 years of recycling the same old, I think it's time for the Pokemon series to do something new.